When Shadur Sanders, mid-meeting, mid-facility, with staff, coaches, and teammates staring in frozen disbelief, he didn't just walk out of the building. He detonated it. One move, one moment. And just like that, the Cleveland Browns weren't managing a quarterback room anymore. They were managing a full-blown franchise crisis. And not just any crisis. A player empowerment revolt, wrapped in a branding masterclass, disguised as a midweek outburst. But make no mistake, this wasn't an outburst. This was a calculated, cold-blooded power play. Let's rewind.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Because the timeline of this meltdown is just as important as the explosion itself. The whispers have been getting louder for weeks. Reports of Shadur clashing with Brown's OC overplay calling. Creative differences, they said, but anyone who's followed Shadur's rise, from Jackson State to Colorado to the NFL, knows he's not just looking to run plays. He's looking to run the offense. Period. So when those creative differences turned into whispered meetings, longer film sessions, playbook revisions, and eventually veteran favoritism behind closed doors, Shadur didn't flinch. He watched. He listened. He let the front office reveal who they really were. And then he dropped the bomb. No press conference. No cryptic tweets. No passive-aggressive Instagram stories. Just one sound, the slam of a playbook hitting the table, and one action, walking out. No goodbye. No explanation. Just done. And that moment, it lit a match under the entire league. Within hours, insiders were scrambling. Team reps texting agents. Social media in full meltdown mode. News anchors going full TMZ. And every single NFL team with a shaky quarterback situation suddenly thinking, wait, is he available? Because Shadur didn't just exit the building. He flipped the narrative. The Browns looked like the team that couldn't keep their generational rookie happy. Shadur looked like the star who knew his worth and wasn't afraid to show it. And in today's NFL, that matters more than ever. Let's talk about what really triggered this explosion. Behind the scenes, there were reports, unconfirmed but loud, of the Browns trying to rein him in. Less autonomy at the line. Less media availability. Less Shadur. They didn't want a quarterback. They wanted a soldier. A player who smiles, nods, and throws short slants while the coaches run the show. A rookie who's grateful to be here. But Shadur? He's not here to be molded. He's here to build an empire. And that difference, that refusal to shrink into the rookie box Cleveland had prepared for him, that's what sent this whole thing up in flames. Because Shadur Sanders is not the kind of player you contain. He's the kind of player you build around. And if you don't, he'll build somewhere else. And now the Browns, once positioned to ride a rookie sensation into a new era, are standing in the ruins of their own mismanagement. Let's not understate how badly this reflects on Cleveland. The fans? Furious. The locker room? Divided. The ownership? Frantically spinning. Try to figure out how to put the genie back in the bottle. Spoiler alert, you can't. Once a quarterback slams the playbook and walks out, you've lost him. And once the entire league hears about it, he's no longer yours to keep. And let's be honest, Shadur knew that. You think he didn't understand the optics? That the media would frame it as a meltdown? Of course he did. But guess what? He didn't care. Because Shadur doesn't play to protect reputations. He plays to control legacies. And walking out of Cleveland? That wasn't a loss. That was the first move in a bigger game. Let's talk about what came next, because the aftermath, it was a clinic in narrative control. Hours after the walkout, Shadur appears at a youth football camp in a custom suit, coaching kids, signing autographs, laughing with parents. No interviews, just visuals. Every single camera in the area picks it up. And then, he's spotted courtside at an NBA game, smiling, relaxed, dapped up by half the league. Still no statement, just presence. And presence? In this era? That's power. Because the story wasn't, is Shadur okay? It was, where's he going next? And that shift from controversy to curiosity is exactly what he wanted. He doesn't need to clap back. He doesn't need to post. He is the post. And now, teams are circling. Front offices are leaking interest. Locker rooms are buzzing. The Browns? Radio silent. And that silence, it says more than any press release ever could. They lost the most valuable rookie in the league. And they lost him not because of performance or drama, but because they refused to see what they had. And while they spin, Shedeur soars. Let's not pretend this is about ego. It's not. It's about agency. Because Shedeur isn't just trying to be a great quarterback. He's trying to change what it means to be a quarterback in this league. You don't just show up, do drills, and say the right things. You shape your story. You own your name. You build your brand. And if the franchise doesn't get that, you walk. And now we've hit the ripple effect. Because what Shedeur just did, that wasn't just about him. It was a signal to every rookie, every future draftee, every college phenom wondering, do I have to wait my turn? The answer now is no. Not if you know your value. Not if you're willing to burn bridges to build skyscrapers. Not if you understand that today's NFL isn't just about playbooks. It's about platforms. And Shedeur, he just redefined what power looks like. He didn't scream. He didn't post rants. He didn't take shots. He just walked out and let the league come to him. And now, everyone's watching. Every front office. Every coach. Every sponsor. Every camera. Because the kid who slammed the playbook didn't just make headlines. He made history. So say what you want about Shedeur Sanders. Call him bold. Call him entitled. Call him disruptive. But you better also call him what he's becoming. The most important player in the NFL's next era. And if your team isn't already on the phone, they're already too late. When Shedeur Sanders walked off a meeting, he shattered a tradition. He stepped right over a decades-old line that every rookie quarterback is taught to fear. Stay in your place, keep your head down, and wait your turn. But Shedeur, he's not here to wait. He's here to redefine what the place even is. And now, as the dust settles over Cleveland's broken quarterback room, a new question looms over the entire league. What happens next? You want the honest answer? Everything happens. Franchises are panicking. You got half the league's GMs holding emergency meetings, whispering behind closed doors like a Cold War is about to break out. Because suddenly, the rules of the game have changed. This isn't just about trading a player. This is about losing control of the system. If a rookie quarterback, a fifth-round pick no less, can pull off a media pivot this perfect, a brand move this disruptive, and a franchise-level decision this bold, what does that mean for everyone else? It means no one's safe. It means the old hierarchy is gone. It means that star players no longer need to play the long game when they can just change the game entirely. Let's talk about Shedeur's silence. Because it's not just silence. It's a tactic. He hasn't tweeted a single quote. Not a single subtweet. Not a single they'll see soon. Nothing. And yet, he's everywhere. His face is on every sports talk show. His highlights are being replayed like prophecy. His name is trending without him lifting a finger. Because he knows, in this new NFL, you don't chase the narrative. You become the narrative. And let's be honest, he's controlling it with surgical precision. This is beyond media savvy. This is generational awareness. He grew up in a house where cameras followed his father like a shadow. He understands how to navigate fame, how to use public perception like a weapon, and how to turn chaos into currency. This isn't a tantrum. It's brand architecture. You don't need a publicist when you know how to be your own PR machine. And Shedeur? He's running the whole campaign with one facial expression. Calm. Not defensive. Not angry. Just composed. And in the NFL, where panic is a default emotion whenever a quarterback breathes out of sync, that kind of composure, it's terrifying. Not just to Cleveland, but to the entire league. Because Shedeur is not reacting. He's waiting. Waiting for the right call. The right franchise. The right platform. Because wherever he goes next, it won't just be about football. It'll be about vision. And let's talk about Deion. You knew this was coming. Coach Prime hasn't exactly stayed out of the spotlight. But in this situation, he's played his role to perfection. Subtle support. Strategic quotes. No direct shots fired. But the message is loud and clear. My son's not here to be used. He's here to lead. And you better believe that every franchise circling the situation is factoring that in. Because with Shedeur, you're not just getting a quarterback. You're getting a dynasty. A media dynasty. A content dynasty. A family dynasty. And if you think that doesn't matter to NFL owners, ask yourself one thing. Why do you think Jerry Jones is reportedly hovering around this story like a hawk? Because he doesn't just see a talented quarterback. He sees a spectacle, a movement, a merch machine, a potential empire. And he knows, if he can get Shedeur into Cowboys blue, the league changes overnight. Meanwhile, the Browns are unraveling. Let's check in on the damage. Morale in the locker room? Shaky at best. Fan confidence? Cratered. Ownership? Spinning stories behind the scenes to frame this as a miscommunication. Stefanski? Suddenly on every hot seat list in the country. And that's the thing. This wasn't just a quarterback walkout. This was a mirror being held up to franchise. And what they saw, a team that wasn't ready for future. A team that didn't know how to support innovation. A team that tried to control a rocket instead of launching it. Because let's be real, you don't manage Shedeur Sanders. You partner with him. You build around him. You recognize that he's not just here to execute plays. He's here to write them. And now that the Browns try to box him in, they've basically ensured that every other team in the league is going to come to him with something Cleveland never offered. Respect. And the trade market? Oh! It's buzzing like a Vegas casino on draft night. Anonymous sources. Phantom calls. Just checking in conversations. And the offers? Insane. We're talking. Multiple first-round picks. Star-caliber defenders. Immediate cap-clearing deals. Front office reassurances of complete creative control. One team even allegedly floated the idea of co-developing a media platform with him. You know what that is? The Shedeur effect. It's not just about football anymore. It's about influence, presence, control. Let's stop pretending this is just another story in a long offseason. It's not. This is NFL history in motion. A player, a rookie no less, just walked out of a dysfunctional franchise, rebranded the fallout as personal growth, and flipped the entire league's attention without saying a single word. He turned conflict into capital, silence into signal, disruption into destiny. And if you think the story is peaking, you're not paying attention. Because wherever Shedeur Sanders goes next, it won't just be the next chapter. It'll be the start of a new book. And everyone, fans, media, owners, coaches, they'll all be reading from it. So stay ready, because the future of the NFL just walked out of a building and into history. The story of Shedeur Sanders storming out of Cleveland isn't just a headline. It's the kind of cultural earthquake that leaves a fault line running straight through the NFL soul. We are witnessing a moment, the kind that doesn't happen often in pro football. A star in the making walking away not because he failed, but because the system failed him. And here's the thing no one in the Browns front office wants to admit. They were never ready for Shedeur. Oh, they thought they were. Thought they could draft him, tame him, sell a few jerseys, toss out the Coach Prime's kid sound bites, and ride the PR wave without actually doing the work to build something real around him. But Shedeur, he doesn't do surface level. He's intentional. Every step, every post, every rep. And while the Browns were still treating him like a prospect, he was already moving like a CEO. You don't show up to practice at 6 a.m. in designer shades and throw dimes just to be a backup to a culture that refuses to evolve. You don't study tape like a 10-year vet, inspire half the locker room, and stay 5 steps ahead of the media machine just to sit behind play-calling chaos and ownership politics. Shedeur knew, from day one, this wasn't the right fit. But instead of throwing a tantrum, he played it smart. He played the long game. Until Cleveland finally showed its true colors. And that's when he made his move. The walkout, it wasn't spontaneous. It was a message to the team, to the league, to the fans. I will not let your dysfunction define me. Let's stop for a second and look at what that walkout actually meant. That moment, that single violent slam of the playbook, followed by the silent storm out of the facility, has already become iconic. It's the kind of scene future documentaries will open with: black and white slow motion, dramatic music, headlines swirling across the screen. Because it wasn't about anger. It wasn't about ego. It was about agency. The NFL has long operated under this unspoken hierarchy where rookies stay quiet and grateful, and only the elite get control of their own narrative. But Shadur said, forget that. I am the elite, and I'll act like it now. Meanwhile, Cleveland is spiraling. You ever see a franchise try to put out a fire using gasoline? That's where we are. They're leaking damage control through every channel they've got. He's young. It's a misunderstanding. We're working through it. Even a few desperate. We still believe in him, quotes tossed out to the press like breadcrumbs to keep the fans from rioting. But we all know the truth. You don't come back from something like this. This isn't a quarterback controversy. This is a quarterback divorce. And the Browns? They're not just losing a talented player. They're losing a movement. Because Shadur wasn't just a draft pick. He was a symbol of what the franchise could have been. Of swagger. Of change. Of a new era in Cleveland that didn't revolve around apologizing for being mediocre. And now, they're left with smoke, broken trust, and the sobering realization that they fumbled the future. Meanwhile, Shadur hasn't even spoken, and he's still dominating the news cycle. Think about that. No interviews. No quotes. Not even a vague emoji. And yet, every sports network has his name in the headline. Every podcast is doing emergency episodes. Every other young QB in the league is watching this unfold and thinking, wait, I can do that too? You know what that is? Power. Not just the kind that wins games. The kind that shifts culture. Because that's what Shadur is doing on purpose. He's not just stepping into the spotlight. He's reshaping it, bending it, owning it. We've never seen a rookie weaponize silence like this. Usually when a quarterback walks out on a team, they disappear. They duck interviews, go into hiding, maybe issue an apology later. But not Shadur. He walks out of the building and into the moment, suits up at youth camps, gets spotted courtside with elite athletes and moguls, carries himself like he already has a legacy to protect, not just a reputation. And every second he stays quiet, the legend grows. Because now everyone's projecting. Everyone's guessing. Everyone's asking. Where does he go? What does he want? And here's the wild part. He has options. Real options. We're not talking about QB-desperate teams scraping the bottom of the roster. We're talking premier franchises reaching out through back channels. Places with structure, vision, market power. Teams that are already picturing what he'd look like in their colors. Teams willing to reshape their entire QB room to make room for him. And yeah, some of those teams are probably thinking, can we handle Shadur? But the smart ones, they're thinking, can we afford not to? Because he's not just a quarterback. He's a walking inflection point, a future face of the league, a once-in-a-generation media-savvy, elite talent quarterback who understands his own value and refuses to settle for anything less than a franchise built to match it. And you want to know the real kicker? Shadur hasn't even peaked yet. He hasn't hit his prime. He hasn't hit his first postseason. He hasn't thrown a single NFL playoff touchdown. And he's already got half the league rethinking how they treat their quarterbacks. What happens when, not if, he gets into the right system? The right city? The right culture? What happens when you give him freedom, trust, and a front office that listens? We'll tell you what happens. Dynasty potential. Because Shadur is not just playing chess. He's building the board. So what now? Do the Browns admit defeat, tear it all down, and try to rebuild again? Do they beg him to stay, offer apologies, control, contract restructuring? Or do they do the thing that every prideful, short-sighted organization eventually does? Let him walk. Let him win somewhere else. And pretend like they were never the problem. Only now, that story won't fly. Because Shadur didn't just burn the bridge. He broadcast the blueprint. And now every player with a platform, every rookie with a voice, every kid watching this unfold on social media knows one thing. You don't have to play by the old rules anymore. You can choose your own path, even if it means slamming the playbook and walking into history. So keep watching. Because the next time Shadur steps onto a football field, it won't be as a Browns quarterback. It'll be as a free man with something to prove. And when that moment comes, you'll feel it in the stadium, on the screen, in the culture, because when Shadur Sanders plays again, it won't be for points. It'll be for vindication. Shadur Sanders isn't just a player on the market. He's the most valuable storyline in professional football, a walking, talking rebrand opportunity, a franchise resurrection wrapped in designer sunglasses and unapologetic confidence. This is bigger than Cleveland. This is bigger than football. This is about control. And Shadur just showed the league how it's done. You walk out before they break you. You flip the script before they write you out of the one they already had in mind. And now, he's got 31 other teams wondering if they were watching a tantrum or the first move in a takeover. Spoiler alert, it was a takeover. And let's be clear, he didn't need to shout. He didn't need to cry on a podcast or write some dramatic Dear Football letter with a black and white photo. All he needed was a slam playbook, one act of defiance, one moment of clarity, where a young man looked at a broken system, a confused front office, and a franchise built on delayed tactics, and said, "No, I'm not going down with this." And that's what makes this unforgettable. Not just the drama, not just the headlines, not even the trade value. It's the principle. Shadur Sanders chose himself. And in an industry that eats its young for breakfast, where players are told they're lucky just to have a locker, that decision is revolutionary. So here we are, waiting, watching, refreshing. Shadur's next move isn't going to be subtle. It's going to be surgical. Whatever team gets him, they're not just getting a quarterback. They're getting a new identity. And the Browns? They'll be left in the rear view. Another cautionary tale in the long list of franchises that try to control a comet instead of building a sky big enough for it to shine. So the next time Shadur steps onto a field, in a new city, in a new uniform, with cameras flashing and the crowd buzzing, don't call it a comeback. Call it what it really is, a coronation.